Greetings, everybody! I am Lobo, and welcome to Luna. This is episode 183 of my Minecraft survival series, and the goal for today's episode is to finish, not just to work on, but to finish W.A.R.F, the Wolfins Aquatic Research Facility, a project a long time in the making. We don't have a ton left to do over here. We have one quadrant back here left to build up. We got some functionality we need to add and stuff like that. But before we start talking about that, let's talk about what I've been up to in between episodes. I did spend some time over at our creeper farm, kind of reworking things a little bit because I noticed the gunpowder rates weren't coming in as well as I felt they should be. And that seemed to be due to creepers spawning in but not falling off the edge. So what I did was I replaced our buttons that were on the side with like double trapdoor technology to kind of encourage them to walk off the edge a little bit quicker. And that does seem to have worked. So I'm not really sure what, if anything, changed there. It might just be wishful thinking on my part, but you know, our gunpowder rates are where I feel they should be now. Another thing, just a few minutes ago, just a little while ago, I brought Didi over here to the Luna Welcome Center. He's working.
Greetings, everybody.
And he's basically just keeping these guys loaded over here, making sure they can breed up villagers because, as I said, we are going to be relocating villagers over to W.A.R.F, hopefully before the end of this episode. So, as you can see, these guys are kind of pushed to the back of the ferry terminal over here, and that's mostly so the villagers over here don't interfere with the villagers back at our Welcome Center who are responsible for bringing new villagers into Luna. These are the new villagers being brought into Luna, which will eventually be brought over to different spots in Luna, including W.A.R.F today. So Didi's job is basically to keep this area loaded while we're building, make sure we get a continuous stream of new villagers coming in, and then these guys should be good to go whenever we're ready for them. Another thing, one final thing that I was up to in between episodes is that since we are working over at W.A.R.F, of course we're going to need acacia, so I did spend some time harvesting some acacia, and as we fly over here into the Waterside District, you will notice that I no longer have any acacia planted. I want to go ahead and start getting the Waterside District cleared out, ready for, you know, builds in the near future. I'm not saying anytime soon, but in the near future, I do want some builds to be going in here eventually. Oh, you know what? I just realized I left some equipment over at the Welcome Center. I got too excited. Anyway, let me go ahead and collect that, and we'll get started with today's episode. Finally, I know I've been talking for a while now. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Need you to back up, take a couple steps back, stay right where you are. Perfect. And just stay there, don't move. My secret passage, thank you. All right, no villagers allowed in this area. So right now I'm running around collecting resources. One thing I made note of last episode, and that I completely forgot about, is the fact that we are running pretty low on blackstone, which is something we're going to need in order to do today's build. This is basically all the blackstone I have to my name. Hopefully that's enough to do what we need to do today, but I don't like running this low on resources, so there is the chance that we may spend some time a little bit later in today's episode replenishing our supply. So I'm saying it now for accountability purposes, right? So that way I'm assured that we will get that done. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's project because it's funny. You know, a couple hours ago, I was thinking this episode should be smooth sailing, right? Now I'm thinking, you know, my tone has completely changed. I'm thinking, man, we got a lot of work to do. And me placing blocks like this is not going to help our progress at all. Okay, you know what? Just ignore everything you just saw. I'm just going to go and there we go. Pretend that's how we did that the first time. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. It's best that we go ahead and get started with this. And you know what? Maybe it's a good idea that I tell you what we're actually going to be building today as well. That might be a good way to start off today's episode. So villager housing. W.A.R.F needs a villager housing area, and we talked about breaking the symmetry of W.A.R.F the last time we were here. We're going to continue doing that today with this build, because it's not just going to be one building that takes up a quadrant of W.A.R.F, it's going to actually be two buildings. That's going to get annoying. That's the result of our Kelp Farm harvesting, and that's going to be showing up over the area we're going to be building today. So we may have to shut the Kelp Farm off temporarily, unfortunately. But yes, villager housing. That's why we were talking about villagers earlier. See, once I explain stuff, it all starts making sense, doesn't it? It all starts coming together. So right now, what I'm basically doing is figuring out the shape of our building. Now, I need these buildings to be big enough to house our villagers, right? But I also want to have a little bit of free space for our villagers to roam around as well. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is make room for a little walking path surrounding these buildings. That way our villagers can get out and stretch their legs every once in a while, right? because, I mean, it's not all work over here at W.A.R.F. You know, we need to take into account our employees' morale, their welfare, and all that stuff. But talking about the buildings themselves, you know, these buildings aren't going to be completely symmetrical either. They're going to be a little bit different. You know, as you can see, this one has a little indentation right here. I'm thinking the bottom floor of this building will probably house a dining facility for our villagers. The other one's just going to be straight up housing. And as I said, I want to have like a little walking path going around each of these buildings. So what we might end up having to do is bring the side of the platform out just a little bit to accommodate that. You know, I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just kind of talking over my plans here a little bit. Like, another thing I was thinking is a gazebo over here at the center might look kind of good, because I want that area to be fairly open. And I just want, basically the goal for this area is to just make it a little bit more comfortable for our villagers than the remainder of W.A.R.F. I want them to enjoy their time here, right? So at this point, I just want to finish planning this thing, kind of get the outlines in for our buildings, get the outline in for our walking path, which we're going to do a lot like our loading dock. Basically, we're just going to take the side of the W.A.R.F. platform and just kind of extend it out using the same block palette, so that way things, you know, just remain cohesive here, even though we're going to be breaking up the symmetry, as I said. So let me go ahead and figure this out, and by the time we come back, you should have a better idea of what I've been talking about. Hopefully. And hopefully this actually works out, because I am committing to it. Stuff is getting torn out. We're doing what I said we were going to do. Ah! Why am I so bad at placing stairs? You know what? It's not my fault though. It's slippery, okay? It's raining. It's slippery. Give me a break. So I'm thinking something like that should work. It feels like we've brought everything out a pretty even amount from where our old platform used to be. But let's go ahead and take a look at it from the sky just so we can better judge this. And this is probably not the best angle to do that from. Let's go ahead and make our way over here a little bit. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So we're going to be doing a little bit with this pillar right here. This is going to have some function. And then we'll have the buildings over here. Ow! Okay. So yeah, building, something going on over here with the gazebo and the pillar. And if you give me a minute, my pride and my ankles are a little bit injured at the moment. Now, as far as the exterior look of these structures, they're going to be very similar to these other structures over here at W.A.R.F. They'll probably share a little bit more in common with this structure over here on the far side than they will with like this structure that's going to be directly next to it. As you can see, very subtle differences between all these buildings. Very subtle though, because we want all the buildings on W.A.R.F. We want all of W.A.R.F. to look like it's one cohesive build, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the plan. So now we need to go ahead and get the general structures of these buildings put in here. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call Dee Dee on over, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. can't wait. Welcome back, everybody. Check this out. Oh, man. From the exterior, W.A.R.F appears to be done. This is what the exterior... Oh, my goodness. That is terrible. As soon as I start recording. Oh, my goodness. You know, I'm sorry you guys had to watch a time-lapse like this, but Kelp Farm, you've convinced me. We're going to go ahead and turn you off for the time being. I'm sorry you guys had to watch a time-lapse like that. Anyway, that was the first time I got to see W.A.R.F looking completed from the exterior, at least. You can see the housing areas that we've got built up here, looking a little bit more like residential than the other buildings over here at W.A.R.F. I'm liking it. I'm liking the overall feel of this, you know? But you can see that even though the exterior of this appears to be finished, the interior needs a little bit of work. And by a little bit of work, I mean it needs an entire interior. But we do have the layout of it basically figured out at this point. Like, we'll have 4 rooms per floor. Each room will house 2 villagers. So down here on the first floor, we'll house 8 villagers. Up here, we'll house 8 villagers. So in total, these rooms combined will house 16 villagers in this one building. The other building's a little bit different. We'll talk about that once we get over there. But let me go ahead and take you through here real quick. So you'll see we have room for another little common area up here, so the villagers will be able to hang out somewhere, you know, all together, should they choose to do so. They can pretty much do whatever they want. This is their area, right? But let's go ahead and take a peek at this other building, because as I said, it's going to be slightly different. Down here on the bottom floor, we're going to have a little dining facility, so this way our villagers can come in here, get some breakfast, lunch, dinner, whenever they feel the need to. And we'll have some housing up here on the second floor as well. But this is going to be for the guys in charge, right? So we'll have larger rooms and accommodate less people. So I'm thinking 4 to 6 beds would probably do it in here. And a little common area upstairs as well for those guys to hang out. Because let's face it, the workers over here at W.A.R.F, they're not going to want to hang out with management. Nobody wants to hang out with management, right? But yeah, I mean, we got this little gazebo over here at the center. This is just kind of like a little break area that our villagers can just come and relax and take a load off, right? And we also have plenty of wide open spaces for our villagers to you know, go for a jog, get a little bit of recreation in, you know, if they want to feel more active, which I'm sure they will, cooped up on this platform. You know, we got a little bit of space for them to run around. But that's basically what this area is going to be. That's the plans for the future of this area, and hopefully we'll be able to get around to that in today's episode. But there is something else that we need to talk about. You might remember at the end of the last episode, there were some, let's say, tough decisions which needed to be made. So a meeting of law was convened in between episodes. Wolfrid, Decoy Dog, and I got together and we decided as a group that Wolfrid should go ahead and perform the procedure, which is what's going to happen now. He's going to go in there and he's going to reinstall Dee Dee's old hard drive, which of course housed his old Wolfins Laboratory programming, which made him a spy for Wolfins Laboratory against us, against law. So, I mean, if you don't follow the series, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, and I understand. But for those of you who do follow the series, you know this has some consequences. It could mean finally finding Watchdog, finally learning his location after all this time, but it could also mean losing Dee Dee as we know him. So, I mean, it was a tough decision. It was a tough decision. We did not come to it lightly. There was some deliberation. But ultimately, we decided that this was pretty much our only option at this point. I mean, Watchdog has been gone for far too long. We need to find him. We don't know what he's been going through. But, you know, I don't want to venture too far away. You know, it shouldn't take too long for Wolfrid to reinstall the old hard drive. He's going to try to maintain Dee Dee's current programming as best he can. I just don't want to underestimate Wolfins Laboratory. We know what they're capable of, right? So at this point, I think it'd probably be a good idea for me to go ahead and harvest that blackstone we were talking about earlier. We'll give Wolfrid a little bit of time. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and put on some music and get that done. right, I think that should be it. So I met my goal. I want to get 4 shulker boxes. We got 4 shulker boxes and a little bit extra, which is perfect. Don't want that in there. I'm going to keep that with the rest of my blackstone. Yeah, I think we're good. Plus we got a little bit of ancient debris, 1 ancient debris as well. So hopefully that holds us over for a little while, but as you can see, we are slowly but surely carving our way through the basalt delta, clearing out little areas of blackstone. We got this area cleared out now, which is a little bit dangerous since we got the roof opened up. I also cleared out a little bit of area on this side as well. But now I think we're probably good to go ahead and head back to the Lol Nether Outpost and check up on Dee Dee. I got faith in you, Wolford. Let's do this. Come on. Come on, Dee Dee. Are you with me?
I am here.
All right. That's great news. That's great news, Dee Dee. Now, the big question, are you still you?
System integrity is intact.
Yes. Yes, that's what I like to hear, Dee Dee. That is what I like to hear. Wolford, you, my friend, are a genius.
The damaged drive is isolated and may not write to my system.
Okay, great. So we know you're safe. Can you read the drive, though? Can you tell us what happened to Watchdog?
The damage to the drive is severe. The data will need to be recovered before I can access that information.
All right, well, let's do it.
Beginning recovery process now.
Oh, man. This is it. This is it. Are you done yet?
Negative.
Okay. This is going to take a while, huh? It's going to take a while. Okay. Well, I guess we should probably go ahead and get back to work then. So I did say I want to add a bit of functionality to this. So you may have noticed that I did leave this big hole at the center of our gazebo, which is kind of a safety hazard, but it's there for a reason. Stuff's not going to fall down there. In fact, stuff is going to be coming up through that hole, namely our villagers. That's how we're going to get them into the area. So what I think we're going to do is carve out a little hole down here. That way we can boat our villagers over and easily get them up into the W.A.R.F platform. Man, it is dark in here. So in order to get this looking halfway decent, we just need to kind of, just ease the transition from, giant hole to the pillar itself, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of build up on both sides and try to make things fit where they should. Now, because we don't want the inside of this pillar to appear hollow, we're going to actually close off a lot of it. And we're just going to leave enough room in here to actually fit us and the boat and the villager in here. And they're going to go into a 3x3 water column here at the center, which is going to house a soul sand bubble elevator. And that's how we're going to hopefully easily get our villagers up to the actual platform. We are almost there, at least regarding the housing for the bubble elevator itself. We got a nice illuminated path up, just to keep the villagers confident in their decision to come work at the Wolfins Aquatic Research Facility. I think that looks good. I can live with that. Now we just need to kind of close off the rest of this area, and we should be good to start getting the functionality built into this. So we'll just go ahead and throw some water on each of the corners here, and then what we need to do is convert that water into source blocks the whole way down. I think 3 corners should do it. That should get us source blocks throughout this whole 3x3 area. So if we come down here and place our kelp, can I place kelp on glass? No, I cannot. All right, that's why I brought slime blocks. We'll go ahead and throw some slime blocks down here, and we'll throw some kelp on these where we placed our first source blocks, and that should convert this whole thing, hopefully. And that should just about do it. So it seems as if that worked. Seems as if we have source blocks throughout this whole 3x3 area now, which means we can go ahead and start getting our soul sand in. Now, I'm not going to do a soul sand floor throughout the entirety of this. We're basically just going to place 1 soul sand in the middle here, and that should theoretically be enough to bubble our boat. So let's go ahead and break this. We'll throw this in here, and do we get bubbles? We get bubbles, yes. Now, just for aesthetics, I want to go ahead and waterlog these surrounding stairs as well, just so it makes a little bit more visual sense since we have water coming up over the top, right? I think I also might want to add some fence posts or walls in here along just the corners, again, for aesthetic purposes, just to help it look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and test this out. We'll see if anything impedes our ability to vertically boat up this bubble column. So we'll come in here and We get bubbles, we get ejected from the boat. That's to be expected. And then villagers shouldn't sink like I do. They should just be pushed over here, kind of like that boat is. We'll have to see for sure once we actually get some villagers here, but I think that should work. Now, I also want to add a little bit of functionality to the dining facility as well. So if you'll remember, W.A.R.F houses our guardian farm, and one of the byproducts of a guardian farm, aside from the Prismarini stuff, is fish. Tons and tons of fish. Now, once upon a time, we had no reason to keep that. We just threw it into a cactus and disposed of it. But now it is a valuable trading commodity. So recently, I've switched this up a little bit. So we're no longer throwing them into a cactus. We're actually storing them up in chests over here. And as you can see, we've got a little bit built up. Probably not as much as we should have because I was a little late on the conversion. But we could use this to trade with the villagers. So let's go ahead and switch up our setup here a little bit. We want to have all the fish getting routed to the dropper once again. I believe if I do something like this, we could save a hopper and also everything gets diverted in there into the dropper. Yeah, that should work. So we can get rid of this hopper now and everything will go to the dropper, and then we can send it off to cold storage over at the dining facility. Now, as far as our storage over here goes, I'm thinking 4 double chests should do it. I'm not going to go overboard with this because I don't anticipate this thing getting backed up too much. But in case it does, we'll just throw any excess into a cactus and that'll be that. Excuse me, trying to do stuff here, llama, geez. So I know I didn't really explain how we're going to get the items over there from the dropper, but I mean, honestly, the tangled spaghetti of water streams down here from our previous farms should have clued you in. And yeah, things are looking a bit ridiculous down here, but hey, this is the maintenance area. That's how things kind of go. Let me go ahead and get this in. This is going to be our bubble column, which will bring items up to our cold storage. And we'll do the same trick with the kelp, and that bubbles us up. It should also bubble the items up, and then we should see items going into the hoppers. There's some on their way. And yeah, that seems to work. So then we just need to route this to a item disposal system for when all these hoppers get filled up. Ba-boom. So now I'm going to go ahead and start moving items over. I'm going to load some into the system just so we can test stuff out over here. I'm going to end up carrying most of it over there, but yeah, we should be able to just check and make sure everything works. So one of the things I wanted to be sure of is that we're not going to have any items getting stuck in the hoppers because that used to be a problem, but it seems that now since items tend to float, we're not really going to have that issue, at least in this case. So just to build up my confidence with these mechanics, I've gone ahead and filled up our storage system here using just some random blocks, just simulate it being full of fish. And now once this final hopper fills up, what we should see is items getting destroyed by the cactus, which they currently are, right? Yes, perfect. All right, so now we know that all works. I feel good about this. Let me go ahead and get my stuff back so that way we can continue storing these items for trading, because at this point I am just taking emeralds out of my own pocket. Oh, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn this back on for right now. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm missing out. But with that, I mean, W.A.R.F is, as of now, 100% operational. Yeah, I mean, I've just given this place a quick once-over, just make sure everything is ready to go, and I think we are just about ready to go ahead and start finishing up this build. So before I call Didi over here, I just want to prepare you guys, because Didi, he's once again that Wolfins Laboratory blue color, which is a side effect of having that particular hard drive implanted in him.
Blue is a soothing color. Wolfins Laboratories believes it makes targets complacent and therefore vulnerable.
Yes, thank you for that. But, I mean, it's still same old Didi. You can tell by the eyes. Anyway, let's moving on. Did you make any progress with that data?
Recovery of the requested data is currently 1% complete.
1%? 1%? Really? Wow. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit longer than we originally thought, huh? All right, well, we got some time to kill. Let's go ahead and get the interiors of this thing built. Let's go ahead and get some villagers moved in here. Let's go ahead and try out our trading system, and hopefully we will have made a little bit more progress by then. So let's go ahead and put on a little bit of music and get to work. Welcome back, everybody, and just hold tight because the next thing I say may shock you. Okay, just brace yourself. W.A.R.F is finally finished. This is crazy. This project has been a long time in the making. Like, this has been an ongoing project for a very long time, and you know, it's better than I thought it was going to be because this trading aspect, this wasn't something I originally intended for W.A.R.F, and this is just an added bonus. Well, I was going to show you us trading, but we're not trading with this guy. He's too expensive. This guy, though, this guy's got the right price. He's got the right idea. We're going to show his friend how it's done. So basically, we do have enough villagers over here to where we can alternate trades between villagers and just let them relax for a little while, let them lower their prices in between trades, right? Like, for instance, this guy is expensive, so we're going to trade with his buddy instead and show him how it's done and give him a chance to cool down to lower his prices based on supply, demand, all that stuff. So he gets no supply. He can demand all he wants. No supply for you. Not until your prices go down. Let me go ahead and throw the remainder of my items in here, and you can see we got, what is that, more than a stack of emerald blocks from that little trading session, which is great, you know, and they'll fill back up. We'll occasionally do little trading sessions over here at W.A.R.F, but as of right now, you know, W.A.R.F is complete, and we haven't seen it complete from the outside yet, like actually complete with villagers running around here making themselves at home. So let's go ahead and take a quick fly up here and just have a look at this. Oh, that's... I'm happy right now. I'm very happy that we have another build complete. Like, the approach, I can't consider that complete yet, but W.A.R.F, I can consider a completed build at this point. I want to see how it looks from, you know, approaching from Luna, because that's going to be like the main way we see this. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, it's not the prettiest build in the world, but it's a completed build, so it makes me happy. Anyway, let's go ahead and check in with Didi, see how the progress is coming on that hard drive. How's it going?
Recovery of the requested data is currently 1% complete.
Still? Really? I mean, we are making progress, though.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, as long as we're making progress. I just heard somebody over here. So we did have some villagers take on professions other than fishermen. That's fine. This guy wants to work in the warehouse. He can work in the warehouse. I'm fine with that. Our first work day is done. Look at it. All the villagers are heading back into their homes. They're calling it for the day. They're like, we're done. It's bedtime. Let's go ahead and check out their rooms because we never really got a chance to look at them. So as you can see, these guys are getting settled in. They're unpacking their belongings, getting ready to go to sleep after a long day's work. This is great. This is great. So most of these rooms are pretty identical. There's no reason to really go through and check out all of them. But we'll go ahead and take a peek upstairs. I don't know if anybody's actually claimed any of these rooms. It doesn't appear as if they have. But that's fine, you know, if any villagers want a little bit more space themselves, there's additional rooms up here. I keep placing these torches. You don't need that. You got your own light sources. Anyway, we can go up here to the common room. There's not a whole lot going on here. I'm going to leave it up to the villagers to decorate as they wish. This is their place after all. We'll go ahead and check out building number 2, and I probably should have just gone down the stairs. Hope nobody saw it. You didn't see that. You know, no parkouring over here. That's dangerous. Lead by example, Lobo. So this is a little dining facility. There's not enough chairs to accommodate all our workers over here, but I figure they'll probably end up eating in shifts anyways, so, you know, that's fine, right? We can go ahead and check out the upstairs to this as well. I don't believe any villagers have claimed any rooms in here either. Nobody wants to run things around here. Nobody wants the increased responsibility. I understand that. That's fine. We can go ahead and check out the upstairs of this room as well. Another little common room. Again, not a whole lot going on. They can decorate as they wish. But yeah, I do think that is probably... Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hi, don't do that. That's going to be it for us today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. If you want to see more, please remember to subscribe. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lobo, and I will see you guys later.